Every year in BC, hundreds of animals are orphaned, injured, or damaged by pollution. But thanks to the Wildlife Rescue Association of BC, many of these animals are getting a second chance. Good evening and welcome to Red's Classic Theater. Tonight we're going to look at this unique organization firsthand to see the good work they do with wild animals and birds. Our movie this week is the 1935 production, The Scarlet Pimpernel. Now the story's been told on movie and TV screens 7 different times, but never better than in this original production by Alexander Korda, the maverick Hungarian filmmaker. He cast an exotic beauty, Merle Oberon, in the picture, never expecting her to fall in love with her leading man, another Hungarian by the name of Laszlo Steiner, or as he was better known, Leslie Howard. We'll tell you more about the hanky-panky on the set a little later on. Right now, Act 1 of The Scarlet Pimpernel. Red's Classic Theater is answering the call of the wild this week with a visit to the Wildlife Rescue Association of BC, a kind of MASH unit for animals. The association was formed in 1979 and since its inception has cared for and rehabilitated over 20,000 animals. Now a look at the wild bird raptor flight cage gives you an idea of the work done. Here a young barred owl is reacquiring the confidence to survive on its own. The bird injured itself while learning to fly and was brought here by a caring passerby. In another cage, this young coyote is being taught how to hunt. Brought in as a pup, the nearly tame animal had no concept of how to catch its own food. After another month or so, this coyote will be reintroduced to the open areas of BC's interior. When we return, we'll show you how you can help the Wildlife Rescue Association continue its vital work. The Wildlife Rescue Association of BC is a non-profit society, and it depends upon donations for its own survival. Now, one way you can help is by joining the Foster Fur and Feathers program. Each donor receives a photograph and case history of the animal sponsored, plus a foster certificate for framing. Now, those of more substantial means might consider the visions of our Vanishing Heritage Art Project. This collection of prints by 18 distinguished BC artists includes the works of Robert Bateman, Joe David, Tony Onley, Roy Henry Vickers, and many others. Cost of the full set of prints is $5,000. Proceeds will help the Wildlife Rescue Association establish a trust fund to maintain a full-time care worker and for further public awareness. Now back to Leslie Howard as the Scarlet Pimpernel. Hope you're enjoying the Scarlet Pimpernel on Red's Classic Theater this week from the Wildlife Rescue Association of BC. Filming tonight's movie was indeed a pleasure for actor Leslie Howard. Not only did he have ample time off to pursue his hobby of polo, he also had time to pursue an affair with his co-star, Merle Oberon. Now, this was nothing new to the actor. Women were said to have flung themselves at the thin Hungarian, whose amorous powers were legendary. Now, their affair was common knowledge amongst cast and crew. In fact, only Leslie and Merle thought no one else knew. Now, at one time, Leslie Howard's wife, Ruth, came across the two in a dressing room. They were in an embrace. When she asked what was going on, Leslie Howard confidently answered the question by saying, "Miss Oberon and I are just rehearsing." And now let's return to the Scarlet Pimpernel. From the Wildlife Rescue Association of BC, time for the mailbag segment of our program, brought to you by 24-Hour Video. Some of the recent requests: Jack and Dorothy Potts of Abbotsford, Terry Beller of Surrey, Colette Payment of Surrey, Bernice Rubstad of White Rock. And Bernice, you're the winner of a classic movie on video from 24-Hour Video. And we're sending you the Humphrey Bogart classic, The Big Sleep. Now, if you have a request for a movie or the suggestion of a location, write to Red Robinson Television 12 in Vancouver. Remember, we'll choose one letter writer each week to receive a classic movie video, compliments of our friends at 24-Hour Video. Coming up next week, Richard Dreyfuss and Marcia Mason. Well, they fuss and feud over the apartment they're forced to share in the 1977 movie, The Goodbye Girl. And 2 weeks from tonight, join us for classic comedy with Lucille Ball, Henry Fonda, and Van Johnson in Yours, Mine, and Ours. Right now, let's return to the Scarlet Pimpernel. Hope you're enjoying the Scarlet Pimpernel, featuring Raymond Massey on Red's Classic Theater. Raymond Massey, who was one of Canada's finest actors, had fond memories of his work in the Scarlet Pimpernel. Massey recalled that the first director hired by Alexander Korda for the Scarlet Pimpernel was a man named Roland Brown. When Korda commented that Brown was directing the picture like a gangster movie, the director said he'd do it as he pleased or walk. And much to Massey's appreciation and that of the entire production crew, he invited him to take that walk. Massey and the entire production crew were well aware of the affair going on between Merle Oberon and Leslie Howard. And Massey viewed it with a sense of amusement and concern. Amusement at the couple's mistaken notion that their affair was a secret, and concern for his friend Alexander Korda, who clearly had also fallen in love with Merle Oberon, but whose affections would go unreturned. That is until 1939, when Korda and Oberon were married. Now, let's return to the Scarlet Pimpernel. From the Wildlife Rescue Association facility here in Burnaby, time for our weekly movie trivia quiz. In 1935, Humphrey Bogart and Leslie Howard appeared in a Broadway play. 1 year later, they appeared together in the film version of the play. Can you name it? We'll be back with the answer in just a moment. Here's the answer to our trivia question. The play that featured Leslie Howard and Humphrey Bogart and was made into a movie a year later was The Petrified Forest. Now let's return to Leslie Howard in The Scarlet Pimpernel. Well, that concludes this week's edition of Red's Classic Theater. Hope you enjoyed The Scarlet Pimpernel, starring Leslie Howard and Merle Oberon. Be sure to join us next week on Red's Classic Theater when we bring you The Goodbye Girl, starring Richard Dreyfuss and Marcia Mason. In the meantime, if you have a movie favorite or the suggestion of a location, we'd love to hear from you. Write to Red Robinson, Television 12 in Vancouver. And we'd like to thank the Wildlife Rescue Association of BC for hosting our show this week. Now, if you'd like to make a donation to this very worthwhile organization, write to them in care of 5216 Glencairn Drive in Burnaby, or call 526-7275. Be sure to join us next week on Red's Classic Theater for The Goodbye Girl. I'll see you on the radio on 650 Sea Isle tomorrow morning, and next week on Red's Classic Theater. Good night, everybody. The Scarlet